What is going on? I am Cole and welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new here, on this video I talk about my most anticipated comics for every new comic book day, and in this video we're going to focus on New Comic Book Day, February 22nd, 2023. So if you want to see what I'm looking forward to, make sure you stick through this intro.
Most anticipated comic books. Most anticipated comic books from Cole.
So for those of you who are new here, this is a part that I do every single week. And for those of you who continue to come back and watch this, thank you. But I always use League of Comic Geeks to go over what books I pick each week. The reason that I like to lead with this is because sometimes they might have a book on here that is supposed to be coming out and maybe it doesn't come out. I've tried to use previews in the past, but usually when I check this early on, it's a little bit harder to get all that information. And yeah, like I said, some of these books just have a little bit of delay, and while that's sometimes unfortunate, it is hard. I just want to let you know that the reason that I'm putting these books on is because I found them from the site, and it is not to mislead you with some misinformation. This week was super hard for me personally to try and pick what books to do. The way that I usually like to do this is I like to break them up into like ongoing stuff and new number ones. Sometimes I add in a little bit of an extra. I used it to cover all the bad idea books, but for right now there are no more bad idea books until the next wave of books come. So I'm going to bring back a segment where I talk about some of the books that either maybe I'm on the fence about, or maybe I think that, I recommended and maybe I didn't like. So I'm going to start it off with one of the most prolific ongoings that is out right now, and that is Saga number 62. I have been so excited to have this book back. We're in the second arc of The Return, and it has been killer. It has started off kicking, and I just love Saga. It is one of my all-time favorite books, and while I have to mention this every single time, I highly recommend that if you are a new reader to not just randomly pick up these issues. I would say that Saga is a book that you should check out a volume 1 for and give that a read. I think that you'll just fall in love with the book, and maybe you won't, but I think that first volume is a pretty big telling of whether or not you're going to like this. And if you did not know, this book is written by Brian K. Vaughan, and the art is done by Fiona Staples. This next book has been a book that has probably made it on my show more than 4 times, but we're only on the 4th issue, and that is Vineyard number 4. This is from writer Brian Hawkins and artist Sammy Cavella. As I mentioned, you've probably seen this more than issues have been out, and the reason is, as I've mentioned earlier in that League of Comic Geeks section, sometimes there are delays in this. There was some issues going on at Aftershock where they ended up pushing a bunch of books back, a bunch of books got delayed. A lot of people were unsure if these books were going to come out, but I love Brian Hawkins, and this has been such a fantastic little, horror family story that is a little bit weird. It's based off this vineyard, and if you are willing to sacrifice some people to these gods, you are willing to thrive in your vineyard. And it's been an amazing ride. One of the kids leaves the family and comes back to try and save her mother, and we'll see where that goes, because I think that this is the final issue of that book. So if you have not checked out any of Vineyard, while I don't recommend probably grabbing all of these issues off the shelf, make sure that you look forward to when this trade paperback is coming out, because if you're into horror, I think you'll really like this book. So every week I bring a guest on, and I don't even know, a month ago I had Chaos in Comics on. I'll have his stuff up here again. He recommended a book, Nature's Labyrinth number 3, and I went back and I read all of those issues because it sounded pretty good. Usually he has a pretty good recommendation, and guess what? Nature's Labyrinth issue number 4 comes out this week. This is from writer Zach Thomas, artist Bailey Underwood, colorist Warnia Shahida, and I definitely mispronounced that one. But this is kind of this cool book. So the idea of this book is that it's kind of a Survivor meets like Hunger Games in a way, but instead of just putting normal people on there to win money, you're putting the worst of the worst people. So most of these people seem to be convicts that have done crazy things. The main character in this story, you're still kind of unsure, and one of the other main characters is also kind of put there maybe to protect this character. So I've been enjoying this run. I don't even know how long this is. It looks like it might be 5 issues from what I just checked, but it has been fun so far. It is a lot different than a lot of stuff I've been reading, and yeah, this is just kind of a fun romp from Mad Cave Studios. I like Zach Thompson, but sometimes his stuff can be a little out there or a little too weird, and I think this one is one that kind of fits stuff that I really like and also makes a very good story into how he does his writing. So as I mentioned, I always bring a guest in for this segment, and this week I'm going to invite Collecting with Durs onto the show. So thank you for coming on, Durs, and we will see what he is going to pick.
What is up, all my beautiful people? Collecting with Durs here. Hopefully you guys are having a great week and a beautiful day. Just wanted to bring you my top pick for the week of February 22nd, 2023 for Cole's most anticipated comic. And it's going to be a little bit of a surprise, but I'm getting into DC more, and with just reading DC Action Comics 1051, my pick of the week is going to be Superman #1. I'm very excited to see where Superman's going to go, and as somebody who's never been a fan of Superman or anything like that, I'm diving full force, headfirst into the book, and very excited to get more of a backstory. It's a great starting on point, and I love the family. So, back at you, Cole. I love you, brother. It was an honor to be here. Keep it rocking, as always. I hope you guys found what you're looking for. Thank you.
And that was definitely a surprise. I knew that as I was looking in here and I had asked him to come on here, there was one Spawn book, so I was figuring that he was going to pick a Spawn book. But I think that what we learned from this is that DC Comics is better than anything that's going on in the Spawn universe currently, and I say that full-heartedly joking, but thank you again for coming on, Durs. I will have a link to his channel up here. If you have not subbed up to Durs, make sure that you go over there and give him a watch. He usually does videos including some of his hauls. He does a Friday positivity video where he's just kind of shouting out some of the people from the community. And he also does a Sunday live stream where it's just kind of hanging out and talking about stuff. So if that sounds like something you might be interested in, I highly recommend going over there and giving him a follow. Thank you again, Durs, for joining me on this show. I love getting other people's interactions with this because usually some of the time they're going to be picking different stuff than I would pick. And while I'm excited to read that Superman book, as I have gone to DCUI Ultra pretty much all, I am going to probably just wait for that to come out and give it a check out there. It is kind of unfortunate that sometimes you have to wait a month, but overall, for the value of money that I'm saving, I think that it is well worth it. And now we're on to the point we're talking about number one. And the first number one I'm going to bring up is A Local Man #1. This is an Image Comics. It is written by Tony Fleece and Tim Seeley. They also are both of the artists on this. So I'm really intrigued to see how, you take two artists that also are writers and see what they're going to do. So I'm going to just read this blurb for you guys, as I think it's pretty fun. So it says, series premiere. Stray Dog creator Tony Fleece teams with Revival's Tim Seeley for a series that combines rural crime noir and superhero action. Once the star recruit of a media sensation super team, third gen, Jack Xavier had it all. But when controversy sends Cross Jack crawling back to his mom and dad's basement in the Midwest, Jack struggles to fit into the world he left far behind. And then the bodies start piling up. So yeah, this sounds fun. I like superhero stuff. I like crime noir stuff. So I think the combination of these two is probably something that's going to be very intriguing. I am not sure how long this is going to be. When I look at League of Comic Geeks, they have this slated for 3 issues, but it does say series premiere, so I'm not sure if maybe we're going to get something in a larger format or if this is just going to be a 3-issue mini. Tony Fleece is an author that I think a lot of people have liked, and Tim Seeley has done a ton of stuff in the past that I have enjoyed. So I'm excited to check out this new #1 from Image Comics that I think will fit perfect in most people's pull list. And for the final #1, we have Blue Book #1. This is from writer James Tynion IV, artist Michael Avon Oming, letterer Aditya Bidikar. And yeah, overall, this looks like a fairly promising story. They're saying that this is what Tynion is calling his true weird stories, where these usually are following some non-fiction comic book experiences depicting true stories of UFO abduction with with an eye to capture the strange essence of those encounters. So I'm kind of confused on what this is going to be. I haven't really read too many nonfiction comics. Most of them are just like autobiography, adaptations, which not necessarily always can be, considered, I guess, nonfiction, because sometimes it's just kind of within the way. This is also going to have another story inside of it called True Weird Coney Island. So this is, to my knowledge, the first time that I've seen a book from James Tynion on Dark Horse Comics, so this could be a promising number one. I know that when he has done books like The Department of Truth, I've enjoyed kind of the concept of them, but I didn't love the idea of them being kind of more of the anthology where every story is kind of a different thing, and there's kind of one long story kind of placed within it. So I'm kind of excited to see what this one's going to be all about. This could be maybe something that I don't necessarily love, but I'm really intrigued to see what is going to come out and what Blue Book is going to be all about. And for the final book, I'm going to talk about one that I brought up the number one, and we're nearing the number two. So this is Black Cloak, number two, from writer Kelly Thompson with artist Meredith McClain, letterer Becky Carey, and I really enjoyed this first issue, but I did not really like... So the first issue was very good, but it was an oversized... I want to say it was a triple-sized issue, and for that, it didn't have a ton move on. This is kind of this crime noir detective story that happens in a medieval kind of fantasy world. And it was a large story, and while I enjoyed what happened in the story, it seemed like there were a lot of pages to move what happened. So I'm excited to see what happens in the second issue, to see if they can maybe move and progress the story forward. I know a lot of people love Kelly Thompson, so I think that this will probably be good. I know that I did not necessarily care for the art style. Not that it was bad. I just thought for this type of story, it seemed a more... it's hard to explain. It might have been like, it might have fit better with like a book like Wind or something that's more like YA friendly, and is a little bit more, it's a little softer on the edges, where this is kind of telling a weird, gritty story. And maybe that was the direction that the creative team wanted to go in to make this seem a little bit different. But, I didn't love it, but it would never be something that would make it so that I would not continue reading this book. I just think that first issue was very large and it didn't do a ton. So I really want to see how this second issue pans out to see if it's worth continuing on this story. And that was my most anticipated comics for New Comic Book Day, February 22nd, 2023. If you haven't already, I have already linked Dur's channel. Make sure you go over there and tell him that I said what's up. And if you enjoyed listening to him, I'm sure that you will enjoy listening and seeing his videos on YouTube. I once again thank everyone for stopping by here and watching this video. And one thing that I would love to hear is, what books are you looking most forward to? Is there a cover that maybe that you're just in love with? Maybe there's a trade paperback coming out, or even if it's a singular issue, whether it be ongoing or a new number one, I would love to hear what you're looking forward to most, as that's one of the reasons why I really started making these videos, is to talk with the community about books that they love. So if you want to join this, please make sure to reach out to me on Instagram. Most of my links are down below in the link tree. If you do not have an Instagram, I think my email should be on there too, or there are probably other ways to reach out, but just let me know in the comments and we can make something happen. I love bringing new guests onto the show and seeing what they're excited to talk about. And as I've mentioned even in this video, the last few guests that have came on, I've been checking out what they recommend, just because, it is good to check out new stuff, and most of the stuff has been pretty intriguing to me. So thank you again, Durs, for stopping by, and everyone else out there for watching. If you have not already, please consider giving this video a like, and if you are new here and you have not subscribed, I would love to have your subscription to this site. Getting that stuff and adding those to this video usually helps me out with the algorithm here on YouTube. So as always, I have been Cole. A wise man once said, ride on, and peace. I know that I already said goodbye, but if you haven't subscribed, hit this and you'll be able to subscribe to the channel. If you want to watch more videos like this, I'll have this playlist right here, and this is a video of me opening mail. So those are some other things that are on my channel. Thanks again for stopping by. Peace.